Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Here's Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. St. Lucia's current Deputy Prime Minister, Ernest Hilaire, wins case against former Prime Minister Alan Chasteny. This story takes the lead in today's edition of Caribbean Perspective for Wednesday, 23rd August 2023. Details after this important message.
The hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
Welcome back. St. Lucia's former High Commissioner to the UK, Dr. Ernest Hilaire, currently Deputy Prime Minister of St. Lucia, has been awarded costs after an application for a claim filed by former Prime Minister Alan Chasteny was dismissed by the High Court. This is in relation to the Land Rover SUV matter, which was withdrawn by the Customs and Excise Department in 2021. The former Prime Minister had claimed political interference in the matter. Dr. Hilaire, however, denied this, maintaining that the Land Rover matter was initiated by the Customs and Excise Department because of political pressure from the previous Alan Chasteny administration. Zane Romulus of the DBS News World reports.
Former Prime Minister Alan Chasteny's application for leave to bring a judicial review lawsuit against the decision of the Controller of Customs to discontinue the criminal prosecution of Dr. Ernest Hilaire in the Land Rover SUV matter was dismissed by the High Court of St. Lucia on August 18, 2023. Chasteny had contended that the charges, which were withdrawn in December 2021, were done without the authorization of the Director of Public Prosecutions. He also claimed that the Controller of Customs failed to apply appropriate policies when making his decision, and that his decision was influenced by political pressure, namely from Dr. Hilaire. Speaking ahead of Monday's cabinet meeting, Dr. Hilaire expressed satisfaction with the court's decision.
I think the judgment speaks for itself. The Controller of Customs, when he was appointed to his acting position, replacing Peter Chico, whose term had ended, decided on review of the documents that there was really no basis for the action that was taken. That position taken was not dissimilar to what two previous controllers had stated. Of course, that was contrary to what Peter Chico thought, but two previous controllers had decided there was no basis for that action they were asked to take. And when he came in, he reviewed the files and he agreed with that and decided to discontinue the action and to return the vehicle. Of course, the leader of opposition felt that was wrong and that he went to the court to ask permission to file for judicial review. And I think if you read the judgment, the judge is very clear in his reasoning that you cannot give permission to file a review if, in the opinion of the court, there is no possibility of winning.
According to Hilaire, the court's decision further cements his position that the case, which was initiated under the former Alan Chasteny administration, originated from malicious political motives and had no basis.
The court, in a sense, has, although not looking at the merits of the evidence per se, just the principle of it, that there was no basis to review the decision of the controller. He had all the authority to make that judgment call and to act it as he did. For me, work continues. I mean, I've always maintained my position on it, why the actions were taken and what was the intention. It had nothing to do with anything that anybody knew or believed or even had reason to believe that I had done something wrong. It was clearly malicious and vindictive.
The former High Commissioner to the UK hinted that there would be more court victories coming his way. Attempts to get the former Prime Minister to comment were futile. For the DVS News World, I am Zain Romculus.
Representatives from several companies and government departments have highly commended the performance of student interns who worked at their establishments as part of the Nevis Island Administration's NIA Department of Youth Summer Job Attachment Program, SJAP. Andre Huey of SKN Newsline has more.
During a closing ceremony of the SJAP on August 16th, representatives from the Legal Department, Inland Revenue Department, and the St. Kitts Nevis Anguilla National Bank gave testimonials about respective interns. Meanwhile, some of the interns spoke about their experience in the program.
The Summer Job Attachment Program, also known as SJOB, has been a good experience for me. I have learned to step out of my comfort zone and do things I would have never done before joining this program, such as partaking in a skit, public speaking, and doing voluntary work. I was assigned to physical planning. I am happy with my placement because it gives me an idea of what to expect while pursuing my career path as an actor. While working in the Department of Physical Planning, I was given the opportunity to venture into the field and inspect job sites. I visited places I didn't even know existed in Nevis. I now know the different names, routes, entrances, and exits of places I thought I was familiar with. Working at Physical Planning allowed me to view different plans drawn by various architects and observe their different styles and trademarks. They would have taught me a lot, and I would have grasped a wealth of knowledge about architecture. Thanks to youth and sports to have given me the opportunity once again, and I can assure them that what I gathered from the few weeks of being on the job would surely prepare me for the world of work.
My internship was carried out at the Department of Agriculture, where I was granted the opportunity to work at a different division each week, namely the Agro-Processing Division, Marketing, the Veterinary Clinic, and the Abattoir. From making and packaging locally made food products, to selling locally grown produce, to caring for animals, and to packaging animal byproducts, I can truly say that I learned a lot all while having fun. I encourage you, the school leavers of 2024, and other eligible individuals to participate in next year's program as long as it permits. I thank you.
The Summer Job Attachment Program offered school leavers the opportunity to experience the world of work by helping them to develop the necessary skills needed for the work environment. This year's program was guided under the theme, Aspiring Professionals Inspired to Change the World. The interns engaged in a 2-week training and development workshop, after which 66 interns were attached to 31 businesses and government departments. The internship spanned over a 5-week period from July 17th and ends on August 18th. Andre Huey, SKN Newsline.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
Bahamas' Prime Minister Philip Davis comments on a possible shuffle of cabinet ministers. ZNS News gives us some details.
Almost 2 years in government since being elected, and expectations by some members of the public have mounted that a cabinet shuffle is in order. Well, Prime Minister, the Honorable Philip Davis is the only person who could answer that question. And while the Prime Minister gave no definitive answer, he did indicate the topic is being discussed.
Cabinet is an institution that carries with it collective responsibility. Where a person is in that cabinet does not take away from that. Does not take away from that. So that we have collective responsibility. We are at just near the halfway. I call this my halfway point before we move into what I call election mode. And we are thinking of what we are talking together as ministers to determine how best each one of us may better serve the new way forward.
In a successful collaboration, the Ministry of Health and Wellness in Jamaica, together with the Pan American Health Organization PAHO, has trained a cohort of over 100 individuals to recognize and provide assistance to individuals diagnosed with mental illnesses. CVM Live's Celine Campbell tells us more.
Jamaica welcomes its first batch of trained Problem Management Plus providers, 162 to be precise. The program, which takes a preventative and early intervention approach to enhance mental wellness, was launched by the Ministry of Health and Wellness in association with the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO. It aims to help Jamaicans identify and cope with psychological issues. Consultant psychiatrist Senator Dr. Sophia Longmore says it's all in a bid to reframe the stigma attached to mental illness by bringing awareness and mental wellness to support those in need.
We knew that there was great need for this type of intervention. We knew that people were undergoing stress. We knew that we're in a culture that is predisposed, unfortunately, to trauma and violence.
With this knowledge, Dr. Longmore points out the decision to train people within the community, such as faith-based and community leaders, was deliberate.
But just because of the level that you are in contact with, you're able to offer a helping hand, and for that I congratulate you. We're talking about hairdressers, barbers, again, persons associated with churches, etc. And so the reach is significant.
The graduates were trained in areas such as stress management techniques, basic helping skills, and to identify signs of common mental health disorders. Dr. Longmore, however, warns, even with these acquired skills, providers will encounter challenging scenarios.
Make sure you recognize what you can and cannot take on. You have some serious challenges out there. Ensure we have screening processes. What I hope is that we will also get the collaborative resources that we can channel to those more serious conditions that you cannot take on, because that need is great.
Longmore believes the more people are aware of the various forms of mental illnesses, the more they will seek help. Therefore, answering the call to intervene, this is only one of many initiatives being rolled out by the ministry. Dr. Longmore was speaking at the graduation ceremony held at the summit in New Kingston last Thursday. Celine Campbell reporting for CVM Live.
In the meantime, more cause to know the 6 Jamaican parliamentarians being investigated for illicit enrichment. Andrea Chisholm of TVG News shares this story.
Pressure is again mounting for the 6 parliamentarians being investigated for illicit enrichment to reveal themselves. Opposition parliamentarians have indicated they have not received letters from the Integrity Commission regarding that investigation. On Thursday, Prime Minister Andrew Holness said so far, none of the government parliamentarians he has spoken to is being investigated for the crime. He also defended the gag order on the Integrity Commission and government parliamentarians, arguing that due process should be observed. Speaking on RJR's That's a Wrap program today, former Roman Catholic priest Michael Lewis said keeping the names a secret would lead to more public distrust in the political system.
Justice must be served, due process must be observed, but at the same time, we have to do things more and more in Jamaica where we build the confidence of the ordinary people of our country. And right now, dare I say, how this is being perceived, it just don't look right. It don't look right, it don't feel right, it don't smell right. Because it feels as if the public, again, is being kept at arm's length, is being pushed away from what could potentially be something that is going to, shake our people up.
Attorney at law Clive Monroe Jr. argues that flaws in the Integrity Commission Act are contributing to the issue.
If you read the particular section 53 of the Integrity Commissions Act, the heading on it says restriction on disclosure. It is largely designed for that purpose. Even though it gives itself an exception that says that if there's no law, save and except for all of the restrictions stated in the section, no law shall apply to the Integrity Commission as it relates to other disclosures. But that's like a worm eating an apple from the inside out. It looks nice on the outside, but it's hollow at the core. The problem with this, really, once you cut past all of this, and I agree with Michael, it don't look good. At the end of the day, the question is about control versus autonomy. To what extent are you going to allow the autonomy to allow for the transparency that allows for the curing of the mistrust and the distrust.
Hubbard's is once again innovating the way you shop with its new online store, providing 24-hour shopping convenience. You can shop now for appliances, hardware, houseware, building material, and more. Free delivery island-wide. Start shopping now at hubbardshardware.gd. Safe, convenient, reliable.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.